know that eggs have a lot of myths throughout the world. Every country, every community has its own myth, and everybody is trying to break this myth or help people to overcome it, because they have seen that the egg is a superfood and we want everybody to enjoy it. It is simple, cheap protein as we are now. If you cannot afford fish, you cannot afford meat or other protein sources, the egg is there, and it is very cheap and it can digest very easily. And these health workers, these nutrition officers of the Ghana Health Service have a large number of people. They extend to so many people where they can educate them, and it goes fine wide. That's why we are doing this training, and these people are going to be trainer of trainers. They go back to their regions, their districts, and they work with their other colleagues, and the other colleagues will take it to the hospitals and to wherever their work will take them to. That's how we are doing it for them.
All right. And so the egg can be eaten.
I would say that historically, Ghanaians eat eggs in two main ways. We are either boiling them or frying them. In some communities, they add it to their stews, their contemporary stews, their egg stews, and so on. But now, looking at the importance, the benefits, and how egg can be handled by everybody, we feel that all our local foods, we can add eggs. We can make egg soup. This has been okra soup, leaf soup, abenkwai and katekwai and all those soups. But we are so much attached to using either fish or meat, bush meat, cow, goat, what. But we think that with the protein content in eggs, it can also be used to make all the types of food we are eating. Not only frying and just boiling and eating it fresh. You can also fry your egg using water. That's what we call the poaching. You poach it and it will come out the same way as you have fried it. But mind you, the yolk already contains some fat. So if you don't know how much, if you don't manage the oil you are using to fry your egg, you are increasing the fat in the egg already. And this is why people are shifting cholesterol to eggs, because they have already increased the fat there. Some people even add sardine, corned beef, sausages to this my egg. But then if you are frying your egg with very little oil to help you turn it, you are safe. So that is what we are talking about now. You can fry eggs also with water.
Okay.
And yeah, the Ghana National Egg Campaign has already started working with the school feeding program from the headquarters. When we're doing the National Egg Campaign by Amplifies was an American project that ran for about 5 years in the country. We were able to meet the Ghana School Feeding Program authorities, and they agreed that eggs can be added to the children's food, but then the cost. So we contacted the the Dietetic Association of Ghana, and they helped us with a research finding that said that for every 100 children, you can scramble 20 eggs and add it to the bulk of food that the caterers have prepared to serve the children. When they mix it in it, each child will get about 20% of the RDA already, and then the other 10% can be gotten from the other food ingredients they used. So we started a pilot program with the Ghana School Feeding Program in 2019. So we started at the western Western region and the Western North region. We were to spread it to all other regions. We trained over 800 caterers in that region. And we trained a few who we used as the TOTs. And they were trained by the catering department of the Accra Technical University. They taught them how to incorporate the scrambled eggs into the jollof and into the wache, into whatever they had prepared for the children. Unfortunately, when we finished with this very important and successful training, the COVID came in. So we had to stop. But we are thinking of revisiting it again, and we'll spread it to all the regions.
All right.
For eggs to be included in the school feeding program. Western North, Western region, they have already started using the eggs.
Okay. 24 eggs in one crate.
It's becoming costly for the consumer. Now, the large egg is going for 34 cedis even at the farm gate. And then it comes down to the smallest one we call the PUE, the very small eggs, also for about 20-something cedis. The whole, what has really brought this is the cost of production and nothing else. The bulk of the feed used in feeding this poultry is maize. Maize forms between 60 and 70% of the bulk of the 100 kilo feed. And then we have wheat bran. And then the protein source, we have the soya bean meal, which are imported, and some other vitamins. All these have gone up. A bag of maize, a 50 kilo maize, is now going to 300 Ghana cedis. We used to buy it for 50. Now it's 300 cedis. So the farmers are not breaking even. They are running at a big loss. Most of our big time farmers have sold their best, either sold their best or are operating halfway, half stock. And we feel that if the eggs are not increased a little bit, the poultry industry will collapse. It is at the verge of collapsing now, and we have to salvage it. We don't want a Ghana without a poultry farm or poultry farming. So customers, consumers, egg sellers must see eye to eye with the producers who are the farmers.
Not actually consuming eggs, but we're looking at the benefits of eggs. You realize there's enormous benefits with eggs. And you're looking at the benefits, looking at the human body, okay, starting from the head, that is even from the eyes to the brain to the heart, and even to the muscles. There's so much enormous benefits that we derive from eggs, but people are not consuming the eggs at all. So what we're trying to advocate is that we want people to know the benefits of consuming the eggs. At least what we always advocate is that for a child that is starting from 6 months till the person dies, we advocate that anybody can consume egg. So when we say look at the price of an egg and looking at other protein sources, you realize that with eggs, like if you consume the eggs that we are talking about, you have a lot of benefit. With just less than 2 cedis, you can get enough benefit from consuming eggs as compared to even that of the chicken and all that. We can still get the protein that we want from the eggs. So eggs has enormous benefits for the human being. That is from 6 months to the child, to somebody even dies, we still need needs to consume eggs. Let's talk about proteins, okay? We know proteins is needed by everybody. That is starting from a child that is around 6 months to an adult, you need proteins. So we know proteins can be gotten from several sources. So you're talking about quality proteins, okay? So you're talking about animal proteins. Looking at, as I made mention, you look at the chicken, you're looking at the beef and all that. Looking at eggs, comparatively, taking a chicken, let's say a whole chicken and an egg, which one is cheaper? You realize that the egg is cheaper than the whole chicken. So at least if you were to consume one egg, it has so many, I mean, you talk about proteins, you have about 40 types of proteins. So consuming an egg alone, giving about 4 different types of proteins in it, I mean, it's quite good for us. And of course, as you made mention of the price, yes, the price is rising, but looking at the benefits that we derive from it, I mean, you wouldn't use the price as something that you want to actually just ride over like that. So comparing the chicken and even comparing an egg, look at the proteins that we get from the egg. At least able to advocate. We tell people that you should consume a lot of eggs. Even looking at the school feeding program we have, realize that the eggs that they use, we can't even use we can't use a lot of eggs though, but at least even taking 20 eggs and we scramble them and even put it in the food and the children to derive some form of benefit from it. So we are saying that eggs is really good for everybody. So we're advocating that everybody should consume the eggs.
Okay, thank you for that question. My name is Timbiri Jonas, District Nutrition Officer at NABDAM. As a District Nutrition Officer, you are into ensuring healthy lifestyle, especially good nutrition for children, women, and even the aged. So basically, you are into planning, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation of nutrition activities district-wide. Even people living with HIV are critical and other vulnerable groups in terms of nutrition. So coming back to egg, I think it's a good training. We are taking part, we are enjoying it, because there are several issues we have with malnutrition when it comes to the rural area, and NABDAM is not an exception. This half year we've recorded many malnourished children, severely malnourished of course. We targeted 56 for half year, but we recorded 57 cases. So egg can play a role to reduce malnutrition. And our people are rural farmers, they cannot afford expensive fish and meat, and the egg can come in timely. So the training is very good to empower us to be able to advocate for good diet, or I would say 4-star diet, so that it will encourage or it will promote their healthy being, and the egg will be a good thing.
Right. Do you think
it's a good question? It is very good because if you look at the child development, right from conception to 2 years, it's very critical. If the child is malnourished or lacks some essential nutrients at that development stage, some of the consequences, you cannot reverse that. So egg contains choline, a nutrient that is very good in terms of brain development. So now if a child or the baby is developing and lacks that nutrient, and after 2 years all that nutrient is still lacking, the brain development of the child will be affected, and that will be all. You can't reverse it. So what the child would have grown to be in future, maybe a lawyer, a teacher, or any responsible, highly talented person in terms of productivity, will be lowered. So nutrition plays a role. It's not only just the physical development, but mental development. So it's very good for pregnant women, especially the egg.
So how are you going to?
We'll be dealing with these community stakeholders to demystify some of the myths, the misunderstanding they have about egg. Some feel, I think a colleague just mentioned that if a pregnant woman consumes egg, you are likely to give birth to a thief, which is not true. Some even have some taboos and say this child is not supposed to take chicken, or you are not supposed to take that. So with this, we organize stakeholder engagement, community sensitization, debates, and then do food demonstration as well, using the locally available food in terms of a 4-star diet, so that people sometimes just eat what is available because of economic conditions. But based on the environment and what they have, you can counsel them and they will make good use of what they have. Mostly they grow cereals. So you need to let them come in with either legumes or this egg to enrich the food. If not, what they will be consuming will be predominantly cereal based or only carbohydrate, and that will not give them adequate diet or the 4-star diet. So debate, sensitization, and I think we've received some material. These flyers, they are very good, summarizing what the egg does for most parts of the body, from the eye, the brain, the heart, all that. We think we'll use that in the community education, one-on-one counseling. But we've realized that the mass education alone is not enough. So sometimes with the flyer, you sit one-on-one and identify the gaps the individual has, and then look at how to bridge the gaps. And that flyer they are giving us will be very helpful in terms of the one bigger challenge is we lack funding to implement nutrition activities. anemia in pregnancy is currently a big problem. In the Nabdan district, at the end of the half year, 52% of pregnant women were anemic. And you know, iron is also in egg in some studies, so it can help pregnant women in that regard. If you also look at low birth weight, we record low birth weight as well. Severely malnourished children, we have them in the district. But
can you give in terms of percentage?
Yes, the malnourished children, averagely we have between 10 to 11%. That's the global acute malnutrition. But in terms of severe malnutrition, I said we were targeting 56 for half year, and we recorded 57. That is even in the presence of no plumping nut. Yet we still recorded that. So there are still malnourished cases in the community. And the pregnant women, the anemia in pregnancy at 36 weeks is alarming. In the region it's a problem, but NAPDAM is worse. Because if you have 52% of pregnant women being anemic at 36 weeks, just closer to delivery, it's a problem. So the egg being cheaper, we can leverage on it to see how we can improve maternal and child nutrition.
So what would the anemia?
Yes, the consequences are they are dire. One, it will affect the woman's own health. If it becomes so severe, sometimes she will be dizzy. She can even collapse, and she may need blood transfusion. And for the fetus developing, in lay terms, the baby inside is feeding from the blood of the mother. So let me put it simple way. If the mother is not having enough blood, it means the baby will also be lacking a lot of nutrients. So I've explained earlier, the brain development starts early in the womb and continues. So if all those nutrients that the child needs are not enough there, like we mentioned Cholin in the earlier submission, it means the child IQ or the brain development will be substandard. So the child will be born and will fail exam. And some, they may think that a spiritual thing that they are doing to the child. They can do everything, but at that point, you may have all the money, you may send the child to a best school, but the child cannot perform. That is one. The child also will have weak immune system and will be prone to other diseases. So because of that, the child it increase child mortality. It even also leads to, there's a correlation between anemia in pregnancy and low birth weight. So some of the women give birth to low birth weight, and that increase infant mortality, but their risk of survival is low. I mean, their chance of survival is low. So the consequences are so great, and that will have an effect on both the mother and then also the unborn baby, and even the family, the household. If the woman is anemic, sometimes it needs blood transfusion, and they will have to cough out resources, because going to hospital to affect the whole household, even their nutrition. The little that they have to go and look at how to get blood to transfuse. Though it's not free, I mean it's free, but practically that is not what is on the ground. So in the end, the household will come back much poorer. Some will have to even sell cows to be able to get blood transfusion done, and that will just destabilize their economic situation. So anemia is dire, and we need everybody to come on board, and the egg can contribute a lot in that regard.